Hey everyone, welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome. Today's video is going to be a little bit different from my usual walking videos. Usually I let you enjoy the sounds of the city, but today I'm walking through a really interesting neighborhood in Fukuoka. It's called Danchi. But first of all, thanks to my Nakama and Senyu. Ein großes Dankeschön an euch. Foxy the Daywalker, Alex Twin, and Nastava. You've been here from the beginning, and I'm really grateful for you. Thank you. I've added chapters, and there should also be subtitles for your language, so please check that out, and then enjoy. So what you're going to see in this video is a danchi, which is basically a large complex of public housing apartments. They were built a lot during Japan's economic boom after the war to house the growing families moving to the cities. For a long time, these were the dream homes for Japanese middle class. Now, a lot of them are aging, but they have this unique, quiet, community feel. It's very real Japan, not the neon lights of downtown. But the reason I wanted to make this video while walking here is to talk about a different kind of pass in Japan. Not the pass of a tourist or even the typical work visa with a degree pass. I want to talk about a pass that many people don't know is possible. How you can live in Japan for at least 6 years and potentially much longer without a university degree. We are going to talk about starting in language school, moving on to vocational school, and what that journey actually feels like. So let's walk and talk. So the basic structure of this plan is simple. It's a 2-step student route. First, you come on a student visa for language school for up to 2 years. Then you move on to vocational school or senmon-gakko for another 2 years. That's already 4 years. And because visa regulations are pretty flexible for students, and with the newer work visas available, you can easily stretch that to 6 years or more. First, the requirements. The most important one for the initial student visa is that you have finished 12 years of school education in your home country. Basically, you need to have graduated from high school. Second, and I cannot stress this enough, you need to save up money before you come. This is not a work your way through school situation. The Japanese Immigration Bureau wants to see that you have a financial sponsor, maybe your parents or yourself, with a bank balance showing you can afford it. A common benchmark is having access to about 1.5 to 2 million yen, around 10,000 to 15,000 euros or USD. This is to cover your first year's tuition and living costs. You can work part-time, but that's just for pocket money. You need that financial foundation to get the visa and to actually enjoy your life here without the constant stress. So why start with language school? Why not go straight to vocational school? The honest answer? It's the easiest entry point. It's designed for people with zero Japanese. Language schools do more than just teach you Japanese. They act as your support system. They set you up with your national health insurance, they help you open a bank account, which is notoriously difficult for foreigners to do on their own here. And many schools offer their own dorms or share houses. It takes away 90% of the initial stress. Now, if you're serious about the long-term plan, you should aim to start in April. There are 4 intake periods really. April, July, October and January. Many schools only have April and October, but April is the main one. Here's why. You can only get a student visa for language school for a maximum of 2 years, but you can only get the full 2 years if you start in April. If you start in October, you might only get a 1.5-year visa. Also, my understanding, and this is something you must check with a specific vocational school you're interested in, is that many vocational schools now require you to have completed at least 1 year of language school in Japan before you apply. It shows you're serious and you've adapted to life here. So the April start gives you that flexibility. You can do 1 year, get into a vocational school, or decide to stay the full 2 years in language school to get your Japanese really strong. Okay, now that's the how, but let's talk about the reality. What is it like to do this as a grown-up, especially if you're not 18 and fresh out of high school? First, I have to say, I'm so glad I chose Fukuoka. If you want a calmer life, choose a city like Fukuoka, Sendai. Compared to Tokyo or Osaka, Fukuoka is just relaxed. The people are friendlier, the pace is slower, and it's way less overwhelming. You can breathe here. And less FOMO, let's be honest. But let's also be real, it can be lonely. It's difficult to make friends. 1. The foreigner community is transient. You will meet amazing people in your language school, and then they graduate and move back to home or another city. You have to say goodbye a lot. 2. Making friends takes effort, especially when you're older. It's not like where you are forced into a classroom together. You have to join clubs or go to events or be proactive. Nobody's forcing you to do anything. And I do want to touch on the different perspectives. Being a woman here is different. I've heard from male friends that they can just walk into any tiny bar, sit next to the owner and become a regular in a week. As a woman, you have to be more selective. There are bars where a woman alone might be misunderstood, or where the cultural expectations of how you should act are very real. It's not bad, it's just different. You learn to read the room and find your safe, comfortable spots. It takes time to find your footing, and that's okay. So you've done 2 years of language school, maybe 2 years of vocational school. Now what? How do you stay? This is where it gets exciting, especially if you don't have a degree. There is a visa called the Specified Skilled Worker 1 visa, or Tokutei Ginou in Japanese. In Fukuoka, I see a lot of young people from Nepal, Vietnam and the Philippines using this route, especially in nursing care or kaigo. The requirements are pretty straightforward. You need to pass a skill test for your specific industry, like nursing care, food service, construction, etc. And this test you can take several times a year until you pass it. And often the teachers of the language school will help you to prepare for this test. You need a certain level of Japanese though, usually around JLPT N3, which is conversational level. You pass the exam, you find a company to hire you, and you can get a work visa for up to 5 years. And here's the best part. In nursing care, for example, if you pass a national exam to become a certified care worker, you can switch from the 5-year Tokutei Ginou visa to the nursing care visa, which has no limit. You can stay indefinitely, theoretically, and you can even bring your family. But, as with everything here, depending on when you watch this video as well, please Google yourself. Please check out the name of the visa and what the current requirements are. Always check for yourself what you hear on the internet. So, if you map it out, 2 years language school, 2 years vocational school, getting a certification, then a 5-year work visa, that's 9 years. 9 years. By that time, you are integrated, you speak the language, and you have options for permanent residency. The key is saving up for the first few years so you can focus on studying and not just surviving on your part-time work. It's very important. I see many people here who did not save up enough money and who are just working themselves to the bone and just can't enjoy Japan. So please, save up money up front. It sounds like a lot of logistics, but when you strip it away, it's about the life you build. I often think about how lucky I've been. Because I stayed longer than just a year. I had time to slowly build real connections. And I even did 2 years of language school, 1 year of Shingaku course, which is an adaptation course basically, to get you to vocational school. And then now 2 years of vocational school. So I did 5 years actually. Not finished yet, but next year. And about being lucky. Through friends, I've been invited to things I never would have found on Google. I go to a private koto and shinobu concert, the traditional Japanese string instrument and flute, just sitting in a room listening to that music. It felt like a dream. It's wonderful. I've also been allowed behind the scenes at a tea ceremony event, watching the meticulous preparation, the way they move. It's an art form. These are the moments you can't buy a ticket for. They happen because people trust you and want to share their culture with you. It's those moments that make the lonely days worth it. The thing is, after 4 years of language school and vocational school, you know if you want to stay in Japan. You experienced Japan. You probably made friends. And you know if it's for you or not. And this is also a good thing. And I'm not the only one. I've seen friends take this path and truly succeed. And I quickly want to tell you about some of them, because their stories are so different, but they are all started with this first step of just coming here and going to language school. There are several who just went to university. To put it simple, after 2 or 4 years, your language skill will be that high. But there's also the possibility to have an English-speaking degree at a university where you have courses in English, basically. That is an option. And if you're coming from other countries like Germany, Italy, Sweden, Turkey, you could also just study English, which you should be already pretty good at, so it's not that much of a hassle as well. And even though many YouTubers seem to look down on English teaching jobs, it's a good step into Japan, into working in Japan. And by now, after 4 years in Japan, you know what you get yourself into. You know if you can do it or can't do it. To be a teacher at an eikaiwa, you need to have the bachelor degree though. So maybe doing that English degree at the English-speaking university is a good option. And since you saved up money and did your part-time job, should be actually possible. I cannot stress enough. The more you save up front, the easier everything will be for you. The less stressful everything will be for you. And this is all without looking at the typical IT route, where it's supposed to be so easy to get a job. But the reality in Japan is, like, over 90% of people do have a bachelor's degree. And for most companies, it doesn't even matter what you got the degree in. So try to figure out what is the easiest way for you to get that bachelor's degree in Japan. And a city like Fukuoka, for example, or Sendai will help as well, because living here is much cheaper. Yes, the salary, the minimum wage is also a little bit lower, but compared to rent and food and living costs in general, like, choose the easier way and it will be all easier for you. It can be easier. The very best part about going to language school for 2 years and maybe vocational for 2 or 4 years is it gives you time. It gives you time to figure out if Japan is really for you. By now you will know. And Fukuoka has given me that time. Walking through neighborhoods like this one, I'm reminded that life here can be simple and full at the same time. This is the Sakura Road, by the way. These will soon bloom. And like the whole pathway that we are walking now, for the next few minutes actually, will be sakura cherry blossom trees. It will be so beautiful. I have to come back. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end of this longer talkative video, and I'm curious, how did you like the style? Do you prefer the quiet walking videos, or is it nice to have a topic now and then? If you have any comments about this video, visa process, or your experience at a language school, or being in Japan for longer than just a tourist, let me know in the comments. I'm curious, but this is just a hobby for me, so I'm super sorry if I can't reply to every comment. I will try, but I'm sorry if I can't. But just keep commenting, I might see it later and then reply later. And maybe I can even do another video answering some of the questions. I have one big request for you. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet. I'm still trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so I have control over ads. In the way that I can say when and when not to play ads. Because right now, if you saw ads during these videos, 1, I won't get paid for it, and 2, I couldn't choose when they came up. And I want control over that. So please subscribe, get me to 1,000 so I finally have control. And that in the back is Island City. It's the tallest buildings in the city, really, because the airport is right in the center of the city, so buildings are not allowed to be too high. But there, they got a special permission. And a friend of mine just recently did a video on it. I will link it below. I hope you liked this video. This was new for me too. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. Take care and I see you on my next walk. Mata ne!